All right, so I'm doing something a little different today. Hey, it's just so Trish. And what I am doing is doing it live show style. So I know I didn't give anybody a notice. Oh, here we go.
As a manager, I think
Ugh, we don't care.
One thing I know about is that
Oh man, I'm changing everything around. I am not the best at this. So anyways, this is doing a live show because I have been trying to upload. Well, one, I had just the most difficult time getting my videos done yesterday. That, hey, Green Gables, how are you? Hey, Faith and Fries. So not to just like totally set things off, I decided to do a live show for my homeschool, for my weekly update. And actually, I'm thinking I might be doing this because I've been kind of being really busy. And I hate that word busy, but I've been kind of a little busy. So every time I tried to upload my videos, well, every time I sat down to do a video, it was crazy chaos. Yeah, this is the early bird for the Mama Gets Fit. That's tomorrow morning. But I just thought, because I just had chaos constantly happening when I was trying to make a video, and then I'm uploading it, I'm having some issues with YouTube. I'm like, you know what? Instead of revideoing this again, I will just do a live show, and if I just have YouTube, it'll be YouTube, and then everybody can come in and hit it afterwards. And like I have like there. Do it afterwards. So I have been enriching my approach. I actually did show notes since I don't have anybody to keep me going live. So I told you last week that I was along the lines of wanting to grow in my approach. Hey, no, I don't have anything planned for this at all. So, but it could be something I could do on Mondays if you guys want. Hi, me, myself, and I. Those are my three favorite friends, me, myself, and I. All right, let me stay focused. So I thought I would just do a live show instead because I'm having such a hard time recording. If you caught my video last week for my homeschool week 15, I talked about the fact that I am buying books like crazy. And this week, actually, I bought a lot of books. I'm going to do a video as soon as I can get a moment to do a video on what I'm reading, what I bought, because I bought a pile of books. I only grabbed a few. So the three I've been working on right now, let me do them in order. So I've been doing Sarah Mackenzie's Teaching from Rest. This has been huge. This, when I do a thing about my books, this will get its own video. This has been monumental, Teaching from Rest. Just profound. It's 80 pages. 80 pages. It's intense. I mean, I've underlined it from everywhere, just everywhere. So have you read this one? Yeah. Okay, Green Gables, you read it. And it really got me thinking. I told you guys I'm like really need to figure out my approach because I tend to jump onto curriculum bandwagons. And what I'm really doing is looking for my approach, not really looking for curriculum. And instead of using curriculum as my resource, which she really talks about, this is your resource. This isn't necessarily your what you're stuck holding to. It was a huge game changer. So I read it the first time, and now I'm rereading a second time. One of the things I'm having a really hard time is being on my gadgets so much that I don't know if you're aware of this, but when you're on reading electronically and you're reading social media, is the fact that it will mess you up for your ability to reading comprehension and to stay focused reading. I'm feeling it big time. I'm so feeling the inability to stay focused when I'm reading on print paper a lot. I'm getting better. I did a lot of underlining. So when I did a lot of underlining, I'm actually coming back through and I'm coming back and rereading what I underlined. And when you read the book, I'm sure, Green Gables, have you started doing this where you're keeping a commonplace notebook? So I have this huge 3-ring binder and I've folded it so like a quarter of the paper I have left there for I can jot notes down later on. And the other side, I'm actually writing down everything I underlined. If it was that important for me to pause and reread and underline, then I need to put it in here for later on. So that has been huge, absolutely huge in really looking at the way I was doing. Now, why do I keep hitting that mouse? No matter how hard I try, I hit that mouse. Okay. The next one I started reading, my phone's ringing in the background, is For the Child's Sake. For the children's sake. Have you guys read this one yet? So this one's a very updated version of a summary of Charlotte Mason from a woman who was using Charlotte Mason for, I think, 10, 15 years. So it was written in 1984. Okay. This is entertaining reading. This is not so entertaining, but very dense stuff. Really, that phone keeps ringing. Really good, but I'm not gonna lie, it absolutely exhausted my brain reading. So I had to skim it. So what I know is the fact that I gotta go, let me go shut the door. I could hear the phone. It's driving me crazy. Live. This is a live video chat. All right. So what I kind of ran into this one was really like thick in my brain to read, and with me not having have trained, I have been so tired here lately. You should see all my outtakes from the video that didn't happen. What I ran into is that I'm going to have to get more practice in and then come back and read this one. So I'm a little bit more prepared for it. The other one I've been reading is the Charlotte Mason Companion. So I guess you can see I'm definitely going, oh, good job, Faith. Thank you. I'm definitely going Charlotte Mason style. I'm leaning to that. And the reason I'm leaning to that is I have a love for good literature. And I have an old video I talked about. I'll have to later on put it in the show notes in the description. And I should write that down, that I need to do some links. The first one I'm going to link to you is my modified Robinson curriculum. So the reason I'm going to link that to you is I really get in talking about what happened in our homeschool when I had a lot of big time literature. I just ordered that book and just finished For the Child's Sake. Elliot, did you have a hard time? Okay, is it just me and I've social media brain dead my brain, but it was really kind of thick stuff to wade through. I felt like I'm doing, and you'll see. All right, so I need to put my modified Robinson curriculum video link in. Because when we used good literature, and there was a time where I had just bare bones of what we were doing, and I just handed my daughter a stack of books. And when I handed her a stack of books, I handed her like homemade bound books, which of course I can't find right now, but I handed her homemade bound books and she read these books. And in the course of a year, she jumped 5 or 6 reading comprehension levels. I'm talking 4th grade and a 9th grade reading level. That was huge jumps. And it became from a rich curriculum. So I know that I'm a very literature-based person. Okay, so with that said, we have been growing. I've been really growing and taking a look. One of the things I'm running into being guilty, and this is where ACE comes in along with every curriculum I've ever used or damaged or ruined, is of course everything disappears when you need it for a video. But one of the things I've really been having to deal with that I read about in here is how pushing through a curriculum does not mean you mastered it. Okay, I am fighting with my daughter. My daughter is 6th grade math. And for the most part, I will say I've been a bit of a hands-off math teacher. And like for this whole year using ACE, I've been a hands-off teacher completely. And I think it just comes for the fact I got 6 kids. And their ages are from almost 2 up to 12. I'm distracted, and I'm justifiably distracted because of what I have for a family. But at the same time, I might not be unjustifiably distracted, if you know what I mean without saying anything. Yeah. So I polled last week all the textbooks. Monday we used our textbooks, and I'm calling my AC curriculum as textbooks. I pulled that. Oh, but before I get to that, I found an amazing website, a YouTube video on the Simply Charlotte Mason, and I'm going to link that below. And it's called The 5 Flavors of Homeschooling. And it was absolutely incredible. Just jotting a note so I don't forget, because I don't have Tangi here to say, hey, you said you're going to do that. I was like, oh, okay. I have to be my own Tangi. The 5 flavors, and she talked about, are you a traditional textbook? And when, traditional textbooks, that is ACE, that is Christian Light Education, even though they're work textbooks, but there's still a textbook traditional method. That's switched on Schoolhouse, Monarch. To my belief, it's easy peasy in some ways. And I'm actually not discussing any book. I'm going to do another video on that one. And if you want me to, I will do that as a live video chat on whichever book we decide, or all the books. Just so you know, Sod Living, we can do that. But you have the traditional, you have classical, like Classical Conversations, the memory route. You have Charlotte Mason, which is the living literature method. You have unit studies, and you have unschooling. Anyways, the 5 flavors of homeschooling done by Simply Charlotte Mason, which I'll have a link in the description after the show, was really, really informative, because then she does like this quiz that you do, and it helps you figure out what you lean towards. That's big stuff. So definitely check out that video, after this one. So anyways, last week, I just kind of took a moment and said, math isn't working, and Saxon math didn't work. Matthew C math doesn't work. ACE math, she's pushing through it. I know, Compass Rose, I just decided to do a live show because none of my YouTube videos are working. So I figured we'd do it this way. But none of my math, I have this child who is in 6th grade at 12 years old, who has her heels dug in and has been refusing math, since she was 2nd grade. And, I'm reading these different books, and I've read about Charlotte Mason, and there's always this copywork mentality. And I had some Charlotte Mason stuff that before, not really, because I was chasing curriculum. And I said, let's give this copywork a try. And the very first day I said, please copy all the math facts from 0 times 1, 0 times 2. I actually did that Monday, and we still did ACE. And come Tuesday, I asked her to do the same. Hopefully you can see it and it comes in clear. So this is all I requested. I just asked her to do, it's not going to come in that great, but it just has to do 1 times 1 to 1 times 12, all the way to 12 times 12. And then, and I asked her not just to copy it, because, my son wanted to be like ones, just write them in columns and put the answer down. And I said, no, I want you to think of it as a math sentence. And I go, the whole goal is to find there's a pattern here. You need to find a pattern. We have been doing that almost every day last week and into this week. And we put the math books away. And I said, this is what I want you to do. And some days it's multiplication up to 12. Some days it's show me every way to add up to 0, every way to add up to 1, add up to 2. Now I'm only doing addition and multiplication. I thought I could add up the first time like 1 plus 1, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 3, but it doesn't get the brain going. What you kind of need to do is add up to the products. So on this one, all the ways to equal 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And my job I gave her was you really have to find the patterns in doing this. Faith, have you tried the computer program for extra math practice that ACE sells? Yes. I have found that there's this thing that when it requires the computer, it kind of shuts our whole day down, if that makes sense. So some of the great computer program subscriptions we have is I have that one by ACE. It wasn't a really good fit for us. We've done Explode the Code, and we'll do well, and then we get out of practice because it's another physical step in our home to do. So I know about that one. It didn't seem to work. I want to go back up to me, myself, and I says, I like that my 10-year-old is struggling with sex, and I'm thinking about changing to ACE math. I love ACE math. I'm not going to lie. I absolutely love ACE math. I think the color is appropriate. I feel like the steps in which they teach things are awesome through elementary, because all I have experience is with elementary. I have looked and read through some of the comments, and there's some debate around middle school that the instruction is not as methodical as the elementary math is on ACE. The other part is I like, and I believe from trying to use Saxon in the past to using ACE and always going back to loving Saxon, me personally I do and my kids don't. I think ACE elementary is a phenomenal transition into later years Saxon, doing Saxon later on. Compass said we ended up going to a tutor for our oldest. She had her heels dug in for years, always looking for ideas from others. And I refuse to give my kid a math tutor. I am an engineer. My husband's an engineer. We like do math for fun kind of problem here. And none of my children are excelling in math. This doesn't seem right, but I'm going to get to that because I'm finding some stuff out. Faith says, I was curious if it was worth the money. We haven't gotten it. There's other stuff you can do. It just seemed busy. I'm not going to lie. I wanted it to be everything that they said it was, but it just felt busy. It felt something that you can keep a child busy when you have a lot of children, you know, kind of classroom oriented busyness that we are getting somewhere kind of thing. Caught me on my coffee break. Okay, and what about history and science? Do you do that also? My middle daughter, okay, hold on. I'm going to get to that. My middle daughter thought she was bad at math. Thank you, public school. So we hired a tutor who used Math-UC. She is now tutoring math in college. Fantastic. That is awesome. Okay, so I have been doing that. And I'm taking a card from here, talking about the commonplace notebooks. I actually told my kids, these are your commonplace notebooks. I don't want anything divided by day. I just want it, just keep going. Just open the page, the next page, and go. And that first day we had to write thank you letters. So we wrote thank you letters because those were needed. And then we spent a little time we started talking some basic grammar, because the other part we're running into is this whole sentence diagramming was confusing. And everything in English was just struggling for my kids. And if you don't know, when I placed my kids in ACE last year, and I will link or put it down below, my video for how I'm filling the gaps and where my kids kind of ranked last year. I need my assistant. So I realized, like, my going into sixth grader was third level math and like third level English, and my son, but she could read at like an 8th grade level. And then when you went into my son, who was going in 5th grade, he ranked at 5th grade reading, which is fantastic because he was my slow to read one. But again, in English and math, we were low. And then my 3rd grader is like there in English, and then right where she needed to be for English, and in math, she was a little bit behind. So what has happened over this week of doing copy work is my daughter, for the first time, my oldest daughter, when I told her the object is finding patterns and analyzing this copy work, I want you to tell me how many patterns you get. So my whole goal is to notice, like, skip counting. Skip counting. And I found some really cool, when I did the addition the first day, and I said, I want you to come up with all the ways to come up with 20. I actually got a cup of chocolate chips and put 20 chocolate chips. And I said, okay, all the ways equal 0, all the ways equal 1. And here you can use this manipulative, and you have 1 hour to write them. And they're like, what happens at the end of the 1 hour? I said, you get to eat as many as you got to. So if you got to 18 for the 18 math facts, you get to eat 18. And so that became a great motivator. And I realized because of this problem that we haven't, like, everything was stumbling her because we weren't seeing the numbers. So one of the things, because I have a lot of curriculum, I pulled out my blocks. And I've used my blocks, my math, those are Matthew C blocks. I've used my Matthew C blocks to use the base 10 and really get a visual of how many ways to equal 10. And then I make them write it all out. And 9 and all the way down again. So I started doing that. This is really cool. From my time spent with Julie Ann from Dirt Patch Heaven, because they're here. Well, they're at our other property. She had told me about this. And I've never heard of this before, but I bought it off Amazon, so they're a little bit mixed up. This is a 100 board, and these are the size of Scrabble tiles, and they have numbers on them. And I have been using this to have them, so all the tiles come off, and there's a board. I don't want to make it makes a mess. It makes a complete mess. But on the board, it has, you know, like the pieces underneath. And I have given it to them to actually do skip counting and to see a pattern. And so the whole goal I've given them is to see a pattern. And when we worked on our English, we worked on our English for doing analyzing of our English. So last week, we spent the whole week dealing with analyzing things, analyzing math facts, analyzing simple sentence structure, just analyzing. At the end of the week, my daughter just says, wow, this has been the best school week ever. I didn't do science, I didn't do history, but it doesn't mean we didn't do. We didn't intentionally separate that out and do science and history. In fact, I didn't actually do a lot of history at all. What I did for science, that I can't show you because I don't have the book, is what I did for science is I used a really old text, and all the sentences that we used for science for our English was actually science about ants. And so we kind of combed, like we did all of our sentence structure analyzing based on these sentences about ants. And my kids are like, are we doing science today? I said, yeah, we're going to call this science, even though it's English. And so it was really cool because we actually analyzed sentences about ants. And I said, we're going to call that science. We're good. So I'm trying to show you. You know, and it was in this case, and they were simple sentences. It's from a 100-year-old grammar book that I've had because I love it. I don't know why I love it. I can never use it, but I love it. And it's like ants build neat homes. Some ants are farmers. Baby ants have nurses. Some ants keep slaves. These insects are very wise. And what I did was a lot of things we're running into is the fact that they can't find subjects. They get so confused with subjects. They get so confused with verbs. And I know their brain understands it, but when it's in the concept of English language grammar lessons, they get so confused. So I started walking them through it. And I started mixing in, I'm just using all my stuff as resources. I'm not being, you know, legalistic. You know how I like to be legalistic. In my stash of homeschool resources, I had easy grammar. And I use that because I like the idea of identifying the predicate, the preposition, getting rid of the preposition so we can identify the subject and verb and just do a simple, we've just been doing simple sentence diagramming. And all of a sudden my kids' lights are turning on, just immensely turning on. They're getting it. And one of the big things I'm learning between Charlotte Mason, again, you know, grazing through these and digesting this book, Teaching from Rest. This is how I've ruined my kids. This is, in all the years, this is the thing I do that ruins my kids all the time, is I will take a tiny topic and spend 3 hours at a time on it and then not pick it up for 2 a week or 2 days later, and then I want to spend 3 hours, and I just burn my kids out. And the conversation that keeps coming up is you want to leave your children hungry so they can't wait to start again, not fill them to the point they don't ever want to come back. And I do that. So it's been fun. The easy grammar, I'm not saying, Faith, you make fun of me, but you're so true. So Faith says I should open a homeschool lending library because I have so much I could rent them out. I actually do that in my local area. I have some curriculum that's fixing to go out. I typically have a lot of readers that get borrowed. And sadly enough, I think I have a better library than our local library system. So I kind of do that, but I just can't ship them out. If you lived closer, Faith, you could come through my stash all the time. But, and the big part is I'm not advocating for any one curriculum anymore. Just like this is not, I'm not even through this. We have literally just, I pick a couple sentences out and I test my kids on how they figure out when we work together. What's been crazy is that my 3rd grader has been phenomenal. She's like picking this stuff up quicker than my 5th and my 6th grader. My 6th grader asks very tough questions. So when I was back at the house the other day, I picked up Rod and Staff, and I picked up the teacher's manual. I did not pick up the textbook, and here's why. If I pick up the textbook, I'm going to hand the textbooks to my kids and say, here, you do this. I don't want that. I need to be very interactive with them right now. So I only picked up the teacher's manual, and I use this book to answer tough questions grammatically that my kid will ask, because my kid will ask them. So I've gathered all this. So what I've really been doing, and I'm seeing the huge, another thing I've learned from here, is participating with my kids in their studies is actually, it's huge. I've been liking this idea of like that I can give them their stuff. It's self-teaching, see you later. And I'm not gonna lie, I got that idea from Robinson Curriculum, and I thought this is why we could do it. Do I have the Rod and Staff Grammar Handbook? No, I just have like the teacher's manual for 5th and 3rd. So I've spent this week really honing in. My daughter comes, she's like, I love this analyzing. Is there a way? I wish there was a job where I could just look for patterns. And it gave me a sense of like, hey, I actually had to work with a statistician, and there is a job, it's called statistics, and this is how statistics work. And it gave us like a really cool like moment of me explaining to her some of my things that I've done that I've never really shared because there hasn't been an interest. I mean, do you guys really want to hear about how I could, you know, one of my studies I did in my graduate studies was actually looking for the patterns for what you did in your house and how it affected your septic tank. I mean, this is boring stuff, folks. But the really cool part is how the numbers go together and how you can build an equation that predicts things. And it all comes down to seeing patterns. And so come to find out, the whole reason math has been a complete bomb for my oldest is she didn't understand why it was important. What did it matter? And so she saw no value, and I'm just as bad about that. If I see no value, I'm not interested. She saw no value in the math facts, that she didn't bother to invest herself anymore. And as I started making her search for the patterns in the numbers as she wrote the math facts, she quickly began to see, oh, there are patterns here. This is important. And doing that, she's really grown in, and now she's understanding. Same thing with her reading. She just needed to see the value of it and needed me to be present in it. All right, so with that said, I have not put all of my teaching textbooks away completely. Or not teaching textbooks, ACE, my textbook style curriculum. I haven't put it away. I haven't thrown it out or anything like that. I'm not doing a crazy curriculum change. But I am honing in, and we're doing our number facts. And then afterwards, I'm giving them really short amount of time to work in their ACE books. And for right now, we're working just in math and English. And I'm keeping it at 20 minutes, which is unheard of for me. I would make them work an hour in every book. But the problem I'm running into is when I would ask for an hour, I'd ask for a certain number of pages, they would get really dilly-dally and lost. Hello, my friend Candace. They would get really kind of just wander. Their brains would wander. And from the books, reading the books that I've been reading, it has been talking about how to really make sure that you want, in Charlotte Mason styles, keeping the lessons really short, like 20 minutes. So you make them almost hyper focus on it for 20 minutes and then walk away before they burn out. And you don't give them the time to just drag their feet. So because of that, my kids are very used to saying how many pages, and then they'd spend all day thinking about everything else than getting their stuff done. And so this has been a shock to our system, and it seems to be working. It really absolutely seems to be working. And I'm fighting it a little bit. I'm trying not to fight it, but I'm fighting it because I'm just like, just 20 minutes. We need to spend all day. We need to camp out and burn out on this. And it's really just 20 minutes. And I'm seeing remarkable improvements. And this goes against everything I'm used to. Okay, so I've been diagramming together. The other thing too is I'm kind of throwing out our word building for ACE. I'm pulling out and getting rid of all of our spelling resources right now. I'm putting all our spelling to the side. I really enjoyed reading about using dictation for spelling and being very applicable spelling, because here again, handing my children a list of words and saying you need to know how to spell that gives them no reason why it should be an application. Like, why is this important to do? And so because of that, what I found is in the Simply Charlotte Mason, they actually sell something called Spelling Wisdom, where it's these very high frequency words, these wonderful little poems and key phrases, really just good things for the brain are in there. I'm not ready to spend money on anything yet because I don't know what I'm doing. And as much as you all know, I like to accumulate curriculum. I just don't want to do that yet. But I plan to probably go this way. I'm testing it out. So I've been doing Psalms 100, and we're working through Psalms 100. And I tell them the first verse, and I give them the job to write that verse from dictation. And then I look at the words that they wrote, and I look to see what they misspelled, because then in application, we're seeing what they misspelled. And those actually become their spelling words. And so the idea is not just, I want you to know how to spell this, but you actually need to spell the entire phrase, sentence that I'm dictating to you without, correctly. Sorry, I have an itch. Sodbuster, you said I had spelling wisdom. I found that I was diligent enough for this. That you were or were not diligent enough. And then Homeschool for Two said, in youth ministry, this is what we saw. Very short lessons are the best, not because of their attention spans, but because they are processing so much faster than when we did growing up. And it works. It is. And the other part too is talking about reading in short, the whole read aloud. So, that she wasn't diligent enough. Well, and I've been making mine copy. They have to copy. So when we found the words that, I've been getting mine to copy to the point, like, they are writing so much. And we're finally really getting past we're building strength in our hand, and we're really actually able to fine tune handwriting to the point that I'm going, we don't need a handwriting curriculum. Let me show you how it looks, make it look right. And that's what I found with my son. I'm jumping topics. I don't want to do that. Okay, so writing, let me go back to reading in small. Unless it was like midnight. So like when I wrote my thesis, I actually, when I wrote my thesis, it's like 300 pages or something crazy like that. at first I only was able to write between the hours of 10 p.m. and 3 a.m., which is only 5 hours a day, which you kind of need more than that. But I would write in those times because the whole world shut down. I could finally focus. I never could work in a library. I just was paying attention to everything that distracted me. And when I was really in like the last month and a half, 6 weeks of writing my thesis, I actually foiled out all of my windows and made it dark and cold through the summer in a mobile home. I mean, I was using some electricity. And I had to, in order to simulate that evening so that my brain would keep working. So anyways, my hyper focus is let's get on something and let's just tear it apart and go in deep and for hours. And so just like I would do with the math and the English with my kids, I felt like whatever we did has to be for a long, deep time to the point my kids are done. My kids have checked out. And in doing so, it's made me slow down and go, when I read, I'm only going to read this much. I'm not going to read everything. And when you guys are whining to me that you want the rest of the story, this is good because it's got you eager and ready for the next one. The other part is by having it in smaller lessons, you allow the brain to chew on that little bit of information really well versus giving it too much that it can't really find it anymore. So giving that little bits of information is so good on it. And that's what I'm kind of running when I read Teaching from Rest, and why I'm reading it a second time is I was so hungry for it. I consumed it. And as I was reading it, I was like, yes, 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 yes. This is great stuff. Oh, this is good. This is so me. I mean, I even went to Sarah McKenzie and I was like, are you talking about me? I'm on page 58. Are you talking about me? How do you know who I am? You know, and she's talking about herself. And but my problem is one, I'm having a hard time maintaining reading comprehension because I've not been practicing reading and I've been reading on the computer, which doesn't help. Second is the fact that I read through it so fast, I can't chew on too much of it because I filled my brain up too quickly. So that is one of the reasons I'm going back and I'm writing everything I underlined so I can take that quiet time and slowly digest it. Same thing with my children writing verses. So we are doing copy work. We're doing a lot of copy work. I mean, we've only worked 1 week in here. And I mean, this is filling up pages between sentence diagram, copy work. And one of the things we're copying is we're actually going to copy the book of John. And I have a hard time because we don't spend a lot of time in the gospel teaching children's church. We tend to focus a lot in really teaching that history of the Old Testament. And I was having a hard time finding that devotional time, that Bible time. So I'm like, and even for myself, I've been having a hard time making that time to be in the Word. And I found, you know, when you write something, you have to read it. You have to do the brain practice of writing it. And it keeps you kind of more focused, so you spend more time in it. I've never given copy work really a sense of like, oh, this is really good stuff for education. But it is. And it's really good for me as an adult. So we have been copying through John. And so my goal is at some point this year, next year, whatever, we are going to copy the entire book of John. Well, if we copied the entire book of John, that means we actually read the entire book of John. So we're working on that. I've decided to actually set aside my my history content for the year, my history ACE books and my science ACE books. And one of my reasons is what I'm having to come to terms is why I kind of took a moment and stopped and why I'm reevaluating my approach is I miss my kids. I know that sounds crazy, but we're at home together. I miss my kids. I miss the interaction. Using the ACE textbooks, I tend to just kind of send them away with their books and come see me when you're done, or if you need me to check something. And I felt that need that I was missing something in our homeschool. And again, this is not my book review, but maybe we'll do a live chat on Teaching from Rest and let's have a chat together about it. Is the fact that at the end, when my children are adults, what do I want them to say about homeschooling with me? And it really had me sit and think, this is not the style I really had put out. I wasn't along the lines of I'm homeschooling them so I can keep them because I don't like the school system. I'm not homeschooling because I want them to be able to focus on football or gymnastics. Everybody homeschools for different reasons. And mine is because I want this life experience with them. And yet the way I'm picking curriculum, I'm actually sending my kids 100% off to their own and not with them. So this is part of my little voyage. And what my plan is, we're going to do a lot of life experience with our history and our science right now. And I'm just going to put the textbooks away. There might be times I'm going to pull out their ACE textbooks and I'm going to read it, that read aloud revival. I might read it to them and we'll work through one of their workbooks and go through, and we'll do the same for science. But as of right now, I just feel like let's focus on the really important stuff, and that's English, reading, writing, and arithmetic, because we've got to do it. And that's what I've been doing. We're going to do a seagrass wading tour. We're actually going to go walk in the estuaries this Friday, and we're going to find sea urchins. And because I know that, I went to the library and I found, really cool books. So to maintain that sense of reading out loud. For history, I have a history of mystery manual, and I'm just reading, the lessons in mystery of history, and we have a conversation. And I have a really cool old book that teaches geography in a very discussion-oriented way. It's called C.C. Long. I think I have a video that I did on that one, C.C. Long. And we're just kind of going about it that way, and we're going to pull in some nature studies and relax. But the reason I'm doing that is I'm really giving a lot of thought of, down here in Florida, it's hot. It's hot, hot, hot. The most beautiful time of the year is March, April, just March and April. May, maybe. May can get hot too. But those are the best times of the year. And what I decided is I'm going to let go. I've been reading farmhouseschoolhouse.com. Let me tell you, that gal is an inspiration. I'm going to put that down too. I'm going to do the farmhouse schoolhouse site. So I've been reading hers, and I really love the fact that it's why are we stuck to this 36-week that has to start at this time, stop at this time, and go here and go here? And why do I have to have the whole year focused, laid out, and not just 6 weeks at a time? And really kind of honing into the way that she approaches her home. My kids are jumping on the couch. Anyways, how they focus from home, how she focuses her homeschooling, I'm just you know what? We're going to really relax on our history and our science. And the whole goal of history and science in ACE, besides learning those things, is actually more places to have more reading comprehension practice, along with, the content. We're going to read some good books, and we're going to get back into reading every day. And then come June, we are going to start our history and our science. We're going to start history and science and work then. And which means, so next year, this time, we should be done with whatever we decide to study for history and science. And then, and the reality is we have to school through the summer because we do have to make up lost time in our math and our English. We're just going to do that through the summer, 3 days a week, not 5 days a week, but 3 days a week. So there's that sense of, and we have vacation Bible school, and we have camp, we have a lot of things going on, but just really giving ourselves for the part. So I know I've spoken much longer than a 20-minute regular video. I'm so glad to be with you guys, and I'm going to read your comments. I'm going to read your comments, but that's kind of what's been going on with us, and that's where I'm at this week. And so let me see. Faith Fry says, I should come up to Minnesota for Civil War days. Best living history lesson I ever gave my kids. And it was really cool. We went to one that was an 1835 Pioneer Frontier Day, which was really good. But the people weren't that, I don't know. They were good, but you almost had to seek them down to learn from them. Homeschool for two says, yep, March and April, prime weather months here too. I'm saying as homeschoolers, we need to just break the mold that school runs from August to June and just move it to school runs from June to February. You know, and the best months are the spring, and let's take spring off and let's lay up in the air conditioning for summer. Let's do it together. Sound Living says, Trish, you amaze me. How do you find time and memory to read and remember everything? I don't. I'm really out of practice reading. That sounds horrible as a homeschool mom. I'm really thankful. Like, I'm reading, this is actually our reader right now, is Frozen Fire. I'm gonna have to get off soon because my mom's coming to relieve me so I can go get my hair cut. But Frozen Fire was is what I'm reading, and it's written in 1834, and it's actually good. I'm doing it in small pieces. If you're having a hard time finding the time and finding the concentration, read in tiny little parts, even if it's a paragraph or two. And I'm having my kids read at night or read in the afternoon, and so then I catch a little bit of time there. I don't know. I'm just trying. Let's see. We have. Hey, listen. In Minnesota, it's nice in August. That's when this Florida girl goes to Minnesota. I went up to International Falls. I have family up there, and we go in August and we freeze. Sodbuster Living. That's what I was thinking. Thanks, Homeschool for two. I don't know. I love reading, and I need to be active in reading again. And I have to say, I think reading out loud is not just good for your kids, it's good for the mommy brain. I think we could do give me some time and I will talk about how great it is for the mommy brain. Happy Howell says, I missed the beginning, so I will have to rewatch, but what sparked this change? You had just about sold me on work text, darn it. I like work text. I have to tell you, in no way am I saying it is not. It is not a great thing. Textbooks are wonderful. And I will tell you how thankful, like, I feel like last year I just wanted to get away from my kids. I just wanted to send them to school. It was not an option. And because of that, it made me explore and find work textbooks. And I needed to find out where everybody was. And I kind of need to push them on their own. And I think as a large family, it is like the most saving grace. But part two, I've already come to realize, because I've given myself 3 weeks to really spend some time, just 3 weeks. And then at the end of 3 weeks, I'm at reevaluating. So I'm in the middle of week 2. Is as awesome as this is to work together doing math, and as awesome as this is working together doing English, I could not keep up with it. There's no way I could keep up with this day after day after day after day. What it has caused me to really evaluate is keeping my kids. I don't think I'm pulling my kids out of ACE math anytime soon. Like, when I say soon, in the next year or two. I don't even think I see myself pulling them out of ACE math until after 6th grade, or evaluating leaving ACE math until after 6th grade. I don't necessarily see myself leaving ACE English. I really like it. What I do see is me actually taking a more active, hands-on approach in it, and then making sure I'm pulling out fundamental things once a week to spend that time teaching them so they know they have it. I see myself coming out of ACE word building. I actually see myself coming out of even like spelling powers when I've used in the past, and teaching spelling in a very more applicable method, in a method that shows the application of why this is important to do, which is really benefited through dictation. I'm also, another thing that I have a hard time dealing with is grades. I just don't necessarily feel the necessity of grades. I know the necessity in high school because you have to do the transcript reporting, but I don't see it as a necessity in like elementary school. You know, the goal is to master these skills, not to get a grade. And we could push through a subject. And I know a lot of high schoolers that have pushed through high school, know how to play the game, and still not really know anything, but yet straight A's. So I want room in my life and in my homeschool life to add in classic reading and to have more read alouds. And I'm hungry for that, and I want to have time set away. And what I found is doing the ACE and doing it in every subject, I'm not getting that time that I want. And they're almost to the point that they've read so much throughout the day, they're fatigued a bit. And so I think the AC history is fantastic, and I think AC science is fantastic. I find it so useful, and if you're slammed and you're busy, it is a fantastic way keeping people together. Keeping the kids moving when there's not enough of you. So, so with that said, I gotta make sure I don't lose any of these comments, because yes, maybe, I gotta get up there. So I gotta hold my thought. I gotta make sure I don't lose my train of thought. So, but the other aspect, and I have to tell you, so Homeschool on the Hill is here, is in the chat room. And she really has brought me home on some stuff. Because one of the things, if you talk about the way I ruin curriculum, is the fact that I almost want to have my elementary school children at college level learning, because that's where my brain is. And pulling it down, and she has called me out as a friend to friend, just says she believes that science should be fun. There's no reason to worry about grades. And in reality, you're going to repeat everything. And the same thing goes with history. You're going to repeat everything. So not to go all crazy on it. And, I love that thinking, but I had a hard time, like, really grasping it. And then finally, like, God just put on my heart, let science be fun. And AC has a lot of good information, a lot of good textbooks. It is a great one. And if you're a textbook type person, that's great. It is fantastic, but it goes back into approaches. And I talked about it earlier, and I definitely want you guys to come back when I put all the links in to a video called The 5 Flavors of Homeschooling by Simply Charlotte Mason. There is nothing wrong with any flavor. It's picking what works great in your family. And if you're a textbook-oriented person, do it. So I've been literally going through and really contemplating. I like IEW. I have owned IEW for a year, and I just started it in December with my oldest, because we're having a hard time doing research for our 4-H projects and then being able to take that information we gathered and put it into something different, to make something new. And I realized I started scouring all my resources going, how do I do this? And I'm like, I have IEW, and I plugged IEW in, and it was immediately a great fit. And this week I have put my 5th grader and my 3rd grader in it, because it is level A, and it was good. We're having a lot of good response with that, and we're going slowly, because it's about mastering. It's about the quality of our experience, not the quantity. And I have to let go of that. All right, so let me make sure I missed the beginning, so I've rewatched What Sparked the Change. Okay, so I answered that. Homeschool on the Hill says, I wish I could, but my boys would flip. Maybe I could homeschool the neighborhood kids in the summer. Yes, and you have that whole, like, coming from public school. And Faith says at Civil War days here, they made you feel as though you're really there. That is awesome. And they interacted with us without us. They lined up the kids like soldiers. That would be fantastic, because I was chasing my own children around. And that's exactly what I was going to do this year. I'm not sure what that is, me, myself, and I. Love reading, but I can't retain like you sometimes. You seem to do. It comes down to practice. I will show you. This is my commonplace book. So when you read, I put fancy stickers on it because it made me feel special. But when you read a teaching from Rush, she talks about having a commonplace. So in here, I've written down the author, and I've written down the book, and then I folded the page so I had a line. And I've been whatever I would underline in a book, I'm just writing it down. I've come a long way from reading comprehension, a long way. So Homeschool for 2 says, I'm textbook minded and my heart is in Charlotte Mason. Who says we can't do both? I'm going to do both. I'm going to find a way to do both. Right now, we're going to work until about May or June, when I figure out exactly and really hone in what I'm going to use this coming year. But we're going to do science and history through read out louds and experiences. Nature studies, we're going to go that route. And I feel like that's a good balance. Like, I know we're going to get our math done. I know we're going to do math in a structured way because I use a textbook. I know I'm going to get English done in in a way that doesn't demand me or that doesn't rely solely on me through ACE. And then we're going to do some spin-offs to make sure we're getting it. We're going to do IEW for our writing. But I just feel like we've bogged down a lot doing ACE, doing that textbooks for every subject and every subject and topic having its own textbook. All right, I'm going to have to cut this off. Let me finish reading. Homeschool for two. Yes, that is my heart's desire too. Faith says you can totally have both. We don't have one style in our homeschool. We totally go with the flow of each kid. And sometimes your flow changes with each season, the time of the year. And I really like where Farmhouse Schoolhouse talks about taking 6 weeks at a time and then reevaluating. Sodbuster says I'm going back through Charlotte Mason Companion just because I feel like I burned out this past couple weeks. Claire says that English and math hurt her brain. English hurts my brain, and actually taking this time, and really all we're dissecting is finding subjects, verbs, and learning the prepositional phrase to get rid of that, to find the subject and verb, has been really awesome practice. I'm learning a lot from it with them. I've needed to buy books to help me and help my boys in math and English. I hate giving grades. I agree with mastery. Amen to grades. My older boys don't like the AC word building. Yeah, I want to give dictation a try. I'm not overly committed to it, but it's something I want to try. Compass says, I don't give grades for as long as possible. I'm with you. Trish, you need to check out Brave Writer. You will love Brave Writer lifestyle. All right. You know, I bought too many books. I'm going to have to share with you guys the books I bought. Grades, yes, our first year of homeschooling. Okay, ladies, friends, I have to go. Oh my goodness, this was awesome. I'm so glad that I got to be alive with you. I totally appreciate you, and I totally enjoy it. And leave me in the comments, not in the live chat, but in the comments, let me know if you would like me to move my Monday homeschool updates on what's going on and what our challenges are this week and what we're dealing with. If you want me to convert it to a live show, or do you want me to keep it as a video? Because this was really cool. And it could be something we would do on Monday and not Monday morning. We could probably do it Monday evening or Monday at lunch or something like that method, but I think it would be wonderful. So nice coffee chat. I will talk to you soon. Peace out.